My name is Jgriggs. I'm going to give a presentation over gang awareness. This presentation is to help you identify the different gangs and gang sets that are across the nation and also the gangs that are predominant in Oklahoma. So we're going to be going over three different types of gangs. We're going to go over the Bloods, the Crips, and Hispanic gangs. We're going to talk about how they kind of originated, and then we're going to talk about how you can identify each of those separately. So the first set that we're going to talk about is the Crips. The Crips were formed in 1968 to the 1969 year frame, and they were formed by a guy named Raymond Washington and Stanley Tookie Williams, and they were first called the Avenue Boys. They formed their own alliance outside of the Black Panthers, from which they were originally formed with, once the federal government began cracking down on the Black Panthers. They subdivided and they started calling themselves the Avenue Boys. So, the three main predominant gangs in Oklahoma that have to do with the Crips is the 107 Hoovers and the Neighborhood 9-0s and the Rolling 60s. You can tell these three different sets apart by the colors that they wear. The 107 Hoovers will wear a dark blue and orange insignia somewhere on their body, such as a bandana or a chain that's orange or an orange hat. But all of them have an orange on them somewhere along with dark blue. The Neighborhood 9-0s, they're pretty much the same. Their main color is blue, and they also wear a baby powder blue along with their dark blue. The Rolling 60s, they step outside of the Crips, so to say, color range, and they actually wear a blue and a yellow. All Crips dress to the left if they're on the West Coast, and if they're on the East Coast, they dress to the right. And what I mean by dressing to the left or to the right is if they have a bandana, their bandana will be on the left or the right side of their body, and that kind of helps you identify which coast that they're from. And there's no real reason of why they dress either to the left or right, depending on their coast, but that's just how they've done it. The Crips have always had beef with the Bloods since about the 70s, and that's how the Bloods originally got started. The Bloods actually originally called themselves Avenue Boys, and the Bloods, once they broke off from the Crips around 1970, there was a homicide that happened, and it caused them to totally change their name from the Bloods, or from the Avenue Boys to the Bloods. So, the Bloods were started by Vincent Owens, and they were also called the Piru Street Boys. That was the original name of it. And the reason why they were called that was because they were formed in a house on Piru Street. So they called themselves the Piru Street Boys. The three predominant blood gangs in Oklahoma are the 456 Pirus, the Rolling 30s, and the MDPs. And the MDP is an acronym for $1 Million Players. All Bloods wear red and brown. The reason why they wear brown is because when blood dries, it becomes brown. So that's what they insigniate yourself with. The next gang that we're going to talk about is Hispanic gangs. The Hispanic gangs, we really don't have a date of origin of when they started. We know that they started in Mexico, in a prison system, and they just kind of expanded from there. All the cartels that are laid foundation now in Mexico all started from MS-13. The MS-13, they have subdivision gangs, such as the Sur 13 and the Southside Waco Locos, which is predominant in Oklahoma. All the Hispanic gangs, they all wear blue, they all wear the number 13, and they all wear black. The number 13 pays homage to MS-13, the primary Hispanic gang, and the number 13 is also, the 13th letter in the alphabet is the letter M, so that also helps them to pay homage to MS-13. They will also wear Dallas Cowboy jerseys with the letter 13, even though there's never been a Dallas Cowboy with the number 13. So that's a dead giveaway. Some of the mainstream rappers today's society, and back in the 90s and 2000 years, there's a lot of them that insinuate themselves with a certain type of gangs, such as Crip gangs. They have Coolio and Eazy-E, Fabulous, Ice-T, and Ice Cube. And blood gangs is Lil Wayne, Suge Knight, and The Game, they're all pretty popular. So we're not saying that if your children or if you listen to that music, it makes you a gang member. But if you're wearing all red colors and you're hanging out with kids that wear all red and you're listening to Lil Wayne or The Game, it might be a clue. So I hope this presentation helps, and have a good night.